When I first read the prologue to A Game of Thrones, I was genuinely scared. Normally I don't read prologues, but thank God I did, because as scared as it made me feel, I was also equally intrigued by it. It was the perfect combination of mystery and danger, introducing a strange other that isn't supposed to be, but still is. The others aren't mindless zombies, they are different. They act with intention and coordinate themselves against their enemies. They have a purpose, and they pose a tremendous threat. You can't run away from them because they will hunt you down. You can't fight them because their weapons forged in ice crystals will shatter yours, making you defenseless. George R.R. Martin does an excellent job of using psychological confusion and physical helplessness to create a feeling of cosmic horror in the prologue of his Game of Thrones book, setting the tone for the main arc of the entire series of A Song of Ice and Fire. H.P. Lovecraft is synonymous with cosmic horror because he is commonly credited with creating and popularizing cosmic horror. But his works are actually the culmination of the works by Charlotte Perkins Gilman and Robert W. Chambers before him. We first see tropes of cosmic horror in Charlotte Perkins Gilman's book, The Yellow Wallpaper. Against her will, the main protagonist is bedridden after giving birth. In her isolation, over time she begins to see visions of a woman roaming behind the yellow wallpaper in her room. Here, the reader is introduced to an unreliable narrator. To the reader, it is unclear what is true and what isn't. Is the young woman mad from isolation? Or is she really being haunted by a shadow woman? This unreliable narrator was the first cosmic horror trope introduced to literature. Now, taking her work a step further, we see Robert W. Chambers expand this concept in The King in Yellow. Using Gilman's trope of the mad and unreliable narrator, this story tells us that characters go mad when they read a play called The King in Yellow. They see visions of the Yellow King himself, along with having other strange and frightening visions. This early form of cosmic horror shows us that the pursuit of knowing the unknown causes madness, another common trope of cosmic horror. So on the backs of these giants, Lovecraft expanded upon these concepts to create deeply terrifying stories. Lovecraft boils down his stories to the following concept. Now, all my tales are based on the fundamental premise that common human laws and interests and emotions have no validity or significance in the vast cosmos at large. This is significant because it helps us describe what makes something cosmic horror, and it boils down to the following: the unbeatable unknown. And this is achieved with two things: psychological confusion and physical helplessness. Psychological confusion makes the reader feel small and inconsequential in the grander scheme of the universe. It can also make you doubt what is reality and question your deeply held beliefs, something we usually experience when we're exposed to the vastness of the unknown. This is done very well by a game made by From Software called Bloodborne. The game does this by using the insanity mechanic. As the player character gains cosmic knowledge, their insanity levels increase. This causes changes to the environment and gameplay. Enemies start using more difficult moves, inanimate objects like the doll in the Hunter's Dream moves and talks with you, and you start to see amygdalas, or revered great ones, across the game world. This game echoes back to The King in Yellow, where as you gather knowledge of the incomprehensible, you start to slowly go insane. You even meet a character where this has happened to, Mikalish, host of the Nightmare. Mikalish is a scholar whose goal was to expand the limits of human intelligence by seeking communion with the revered ones. The mensis cage he wears is used to help facilitate this communication, but his pursuit of knowledge and communication has made him go mad, mumbling and ranting about how he wants to be granted more eyes, an indicator in the game of cosmic knowledge. The more eyes you have, the more knowledge you have. Physical helplessness makes the reader feel powerless against something vast and natural. There is nothing you can do to defend yourself and stay alive. When you're forced to face your own mortality, knowing what comes next is your death brings a level of dread, reinforcing feelings of helplessness. I would argue a great example of this is Event Horizon, a science fiction horror film directed by Paul W.S. Anderson and written by Philip Eisner. Whether you believe the crew opened a portal to hell, or if it is a malevolent entity, we see each character experience a personal hell for themselves, showing us that once you've been exposed to this hellish dimension, you cannot escape it, and you're forced to face your deepest and darkest fears, guilt, and regrets. What comes with experiencing your own personal hell and facing your inner demons not only involves emotional punishment, but also includes very violent and visceral physical punishment. We see gruesome scenes of characters being slowly torn to pieces and tortured to death. Not only is your own death inevitable, but you will also experience arguably the most horrible types of death you can experience. I can't think of a more Lovecraftian quote from A Song of Ice and Fire than the prayer of R'hllor. The night is dark and full of terrors. This perfectly describes what we're introduced to in the prologue of the first book, A Game of Thrones. It illustrates an impending doom brought on by a mysterious force and introduced to us simply as the others. We experience psychological confusion and physical helplessness through the three characters we're introduced to in the prologue: Will, Gerald, and Sir Waymon Royce, men of the Night's Watch, ranging beyond the Wall. We see Will and Jared, experienced watchmen, allude to feelings of strangeness, otherness, and wrongness as they venture deeper into the forest, tracking a group of wildlings. They talk about how something isn't right, and they feel something is dangerous out there and how they should turn back to the wall. However, the arrogant, naive, and unexperienced Sir Waymon Royce insists they continue onward, arguing that he wants to see the wildlings for himself, the ones Will claimed he earlier found dead at a camp. Will recounts to Royce what he saw: a few dozen women, men, and children slain by some unknown force. No blood and no signs of struggle. Royce argues they died of the frost, but Will knows better. He's been ranging much longer than Royce, and he knows that it's impossible because the wall was weeping. It wasn't cold enough. Will reluctantly takes Royce to the spot where he saw the dead wildlings, and to Will's horror, they were gone. Immediately, this confirms his suspicions and fears, while Royce continues to not understand and doesn't notice the danger that's right in front of his face. The wildlings were no longer human. They were other, and they were now on the prowl in pursuit of Will and Royce. Will climbs a tree to get a better vantage point, and below, Royce is surrounded by the others, fighting for his life, and is soon brutally mutilated. What felt like hours passing, Will opens his eyes, climbs down the tree, and sees the others have disappeared. He picks up Royce's broken sword, stands up, and sees Royce standing over him. Royce's beaten and broken body was alive, and his right eye burned a cold blue. The prologue ends with Royce's hand tightening around Will's throat, his fancy gloves sticky with blood, yet the touch was icy cold. A prologue layered in fear. It prompts us to ask many questions. Who are the others, and what do they want? The others in the prologue are an excellent example of a human abomination, a subcategory of the Eldritch abomination, a common trope of cosmic horror. There is enough mystery surrounding the others that make us fear this new unknown, while also showing how much of a threat they are. These others aren't mindless zombies. They are shells of something that move with purpose and intention, leaving a lasting and iconic impression. The perfect introduction of an enemy with arguably the most important arc of the series. This channel is a passion project of mine. I created it because I love Game of Thrones and I wanted to improve my communication skills through YouTube and filmmaking. With that said, if you have any feedback on how I might be able to improve my videos, I really appreciate it. I've learned so much since I've started on my journey, and for those of you who have been watching since the beginning, you know how much my videos have changed. I'm dedicated to making high quality material, and I'm working to improve with every video that I upload. So my fellow viewers out there, if you have any feedback, I'm all ears. I really appreciate it, and thank you so much.